I lived out back of my mother and father's place most of my life in a little old shed that my daddy'd built for me. They didn't too much want me up there in the house with the rest of them. So mostly I just sat around out there in the shed looking at the ground. I didn't have no floor out there, but I had me a hole dug out to lay down in, and a quilt or two to put down there. My father was a hard-working man most of his life. Not that I can say the same for myself. I mostly just sat around out there in the shed, tinkered around with a lawnmower or two. Went to school off and on from time to time. But the children out there, they were very cruel to me and made quite a bit of sport of me, made fun of me quite a bit. So mostly, I just sat around out there in the shed. My daddy worked down there at the sawmill, down at the planer mill, for an old man named Dixon. But old man Dixon was a very cruel feller. Didn't treat his employees very well, didn't pay them too much of a wage, didn't pay my daddy too much of a wage. Just barely enough to get by on, I reckon. But I reckon he got by all right. They used to come out, one or the other of them, usually my mother, feed me pretty regular. So I know he made enough to where I could have mustard and biscuits 3 or 4 times a week. Well, old man Dixon, he had a boy. His name was Jesse Dixon. Jesse was really more cruel than his daddy was. He used to make quite a bit of sport of me when I was down there at the schoolhouse. He used to take advantage of little girls there in the neighborhood and all. They used to say that my mother was a very pretty woman. He said that quite a bit from time to time when I'd be down there at the schoolhouse. Well, I reckon you want me to get on with it and tell you what happened, so I reckon I'll tell you. I was sitting out there in the shed one evening, not doing too much of nothing, just kind of staring at the wall, and I was waiting on my mother to come out and give me my Bible lesson, you know. Well, I heard a commotion up there in the house, and so I run up on the screened-in porch to see what is going on. I looked in the window there, and I seen my mother laying on the floor there, need clothes on. I seen Jesse Dixon laying on top of her. He was having his way with her. Well, I just seen red. I picked up a Kaiser blade that was sitting there by the screen door. Some folks called it a sling blade. I call it a Kaiser blade. Just kind of a long wood handle, kind of like an axe handle, with a long blade on it, shaped kind of like a banana. Sharp on one edge and dull on the other. It's what the highway boys used to cut down weeds and whatnot, you know. Well, I went in there in the house, and I hit Jesse Dixon upside the head with it, knocked him off my mother. I reckon that didn't quite satisfy me. So I hit him again with it in the neck with a sharp edge and just plumb near cut his head off. Killed him. My mother, she jumped up in there and started hollering, "What'd you kill Jesse for? What'd you kill Jesse for?" Well, come to find out, I don't reckon my mother minded what Jesse was doing to her. I reckon that made me madder than what Jesse'd made me. So I taken the Kaiser blade. Some folks called it a sling blade. I call it a Kaiser blade. And I hit my mother upside the head with it. Killed her.
Carl Childers is a simple man who's been hospitalized since childhood. When he was 12, he murdered his mother and her lover. And now the law has decided that he is no longer mentally ill, and so he can be released. He befriends this young boy and the kid's mom. But the kid's mom has a boyfriend named Doyle, and this guy is a horrible person. The movie is about watching the friendship between Carl and this boy grow. It's about dealing with this bully. One aspect of this movie that's really interesting is the way that they subvert most tropes that a movie would have. When Carl goes to get a job, you expect, oh, the manager's just going to be this jerk who yells at him all the time, because that's how movies work. But no, the manager and the guy working next to him are both nice, reasonable guys. And there's a feel-good element to that, where it subverts your expectations in a way that makes you happy. Another example, the kid's mom works at a convenience store, and, there's the manager. And, you expect the manager just going to be this huge douchebag. But no, the manager is the nicest guy in the whole movie, and he's completely different from what you would expect. And the mom's reaction to Carl is not what you'd expect either. You expect her to be freaking out. What's this weirdo doing around my son, is what you'd think she'd be saying. But no, she's very polite to Carl. She's very accepting of Carl. And it's another idea where this is what would really happen. The only trope that they really keep is Doyle, who's the jerk boyfriend. But even Doyle, who is an extremely horrible person, still feels believable in this movie. That's what's so interesting about this movie, is that it surprises you with how realistic all the characters are. Watching this movie, I wasn't thinking, oh, these actors are giving such great performances. I was thinking about the characters' motivations. I was thinking about the way that they think. I was thinking about how they relate to my own life. These characters are so well realized, and they all talk in a way that sounds familiar. It sounds like something that we've heard in real life. Billy Bob Thornton did such a great job writing the dialogue for this movie because it all comes off so naturally. There's a scene where the kid says to Carl, "I like the way you talk." And you know what? I like the way he talks too. Billy Bob Thornton finds a way to make an extremely simple character very likable. And it's not like in Forrest Gump where his voice has a certain adorableness and personality to it that you latch onto him that way. Because Carl's voice is rough. If you ran into that guy on the street, you would run away scared. It's the fact that his dialogue feels so reasonable in an extremely simple way. It's the humility in his performance that really sells it. And that humility is what gives his words this unique wisdom that just makes you latch onto the character in that way. The simplicity of the direction in this movie just makes it work so much better. There are a lot of times in this movie where two characters are having a conversation and the camera is lingering on one shot, and that shot is so effective. There's something about the way that they frame it, the angle that they put it at, the way they light the shot, that just makes it work so well. I also love the way that this movie handles the South. The characters have this southern charm to them, the way they talk, their southern disposition, all that's in there, and it's all fun. But at the same time, any problems that you would have with the South, they're addressed in this movie. Every single bit of this movie just feels right. Every single scene just feels like exactly what you need to see. There's nothing that feels out of place or off. Each conversation is just so emotionally engaging. You're always on the edge of your seat, wondering what these very real-feeling people will say next. You become so invested in these conversations because they're fascinating on their own, plus you care about these people. And because these people are so well realized, you're even more engaged. Sling Blade is a brilliantly acted, emotionally engaging movie that just feels extremely real. And I'm gonna give Sling Blade an A+.
Carl, see if you can figure out what's wrong with this thing. It won't crank up and everything seems to be put together right. Till I see you.
Okay, stop back by. Don't worry about your boy now. He's doing good.
It ain't got no gas in it.
You see there, Scooter? Things are the simplest things first.